Hey all, I wanted to go ahead and just create a quick screencast just to go over the assignment for this weekend. So what we're doing is we're starting our ship shooter project and we're going to embark on this journey to create a video game using p5js, and the goal is to create a ship that is moving around the screen. So we're going along this theme of trying to get small wins so that we can incrementally improve this program. We're starting simple and we're going to continue to build from there. So what we did in class yesterday is we basically just drew a triangle to the screen, which is awesome. The triangle is going to represent our ship. And now what we're doing is we're trying to detect user input. So I'm going to jump over to the code here, and we wanted to detect keyboard input. So luckily, p5js has a function called keyPressed that we can implement, and if we implement that function, it will be called anytime any key is pressed, which is awesome. That's our first win, right? We're able to now listen to whenever a key is pressed on the keyboard. That's great. But the challenge is that once we're able to do that, we now need to only take action or only do something to the ship when a certain key is pressed. So we need to take it a step further and say, hey, I want to take an action only when certain keys are pressed, such as the W, A, S, or D keys. So what we did Monday is we implemented this key pressed function, and we're just console logging out some information just to prove that we are actually executing this code. So what you want to do is, if you execute this and we just see our triangle, you want to right click, go to inspect, and open up our console. Right now, our output is all here. So if I click back into the screen here and hit any key, you'll see that we are outputting, we detected a key press. The key code is, and then we have all the different key codes that correlate to the specific key on the keyboard. Awesome. So we can see here that the software actually reads the keyboard input as a number, not a letter, which could be a little confusing. There's just a mapping between a number and a letter, right? So if I hit the letter Q, Q is represented by the number 81. If I hit the letter W, it's represented by 87. Right? So now we have this mapping and we can easily figure it out using this code that we just developed. Or we also have a resource that I linked in Canvas. It's keycode.info, and you can hit any key here and you can see you'll get that same representation of what that letter is in the key code. Now luckily, p5js populates a variable for us called key code. You want to watch your case here, right? This capital C, not key lowercase c, key capital code. It populates this variable with that number. So that's awesome for us because now, based on that value, we can make decisions in our own code. That's awesome because we can say things like, hey, when the W key is pressed, move the ship forward. Excellent. So whenever we think about making decisions in code, we think about a single tool that's in our toolbox. What is that? The conditional statement, right? The if statement. The if statement. If this, then that, right? So what we did was we expanded this function and we wrote an if statement. And we said, hey, if the key code is equal to 68, let's output the fact that you hit the D key. So if we see this in our program, if I hit D, you can see we're detecting that we hit the D key. So the challenge in this assignment is to expand this to also be able to detect when we hit the W, A, and S keys. So I'm going to go ahead and just do one, and then I'll leave you with the others. Couple of things I'm noticing. A lot of you are struggling with curly brackets and making sure that your curly brackets are opening and closing properly. Every single function, whenever you see this function and the name of the function, you want to make sure that it has its corresponding opening and closing curly brackets. I'm seeing a lot of this where they're just missing one, and then the program's going to have a little red line someplace saying, hey, there's an error. It's because we're not closing our functions, right? So seeing a lot of that, seeing a lot of this at the end where we're just not closing it there. This becomes really important now because what we're doing is when we start to develop things like a lot of conditional statements in our code, conditional statements also have opening and closing curly brackets, right? So stuff like this is not going to work. We need to make sure that we have this opening and closing curly bracket. Now, our editor is going to, whenever we open a curly bracket, it's going to close a curly bracket for us because it knows you need both of them, right? So in some instances, like what I just did here, I actually don't want this closing one because I missed my opening for whatever reason. So I need to add it back. And I just need to go back and delete that closing that it added for us. Awesome. So with that being said, we now need to add another conditional statement. Now notice I'm adding this directly below this conditional statement, but within the function's curly brackets, right? We don't put it out here. We don't want to be here. We want to be inside here. This is where making sure that you're indenting your code properly plays a role because it'll be much easier for you to scan this visually and see how your code is laid out, right? If I start writing code here like this curly bracket can get very lost. But if I indent it, it's a little bit more visible for us. So awesome. So what we need to do here is we need to say, hey, if the key code is equal to, and we don't know this number yet, right? So let's go over to the keycode.info. I'm going to hit W, and W is represented by 87. So if I go back here and I say 87, open and close curly. Now notice when I did this just in the normal flow, I opened a curly, the closing curly is already there, and my cursor is in the center of it already. Again, programmers are notoriously lazy. So anything that our editors can do to minimize keystrokes, the better. Also, we don't like to use the mouse because we have to move our hand all the way over there. That's way too far. We like to keep our fingers on the keyboard as much as possible so we can just keep writing code. So with that being said, we can just hit enter here. Boom. And now it automatically indents. You don't have to mess with any indenting. It automatically does it for you. And we could just start typing what we want to type. In this case, I'm going to say console.log, you hit the W key. Excellent. Now, with this in place, we should now be detecting two key presses, the D key and the W key. So let's see if that worked. I'm going to go here, I'm going to hit the D key, and we got the D key. I'm going to hit the W key, and boom, we got the W key. So we are now detecting two of these keys. Now, I'm not going to do them all for you here, but basically you just need to add two more of these for both the A and the S key. All right, so we need to extend this to detect the A and the S key. Awesome. Now, bonus. Just because we're detecting these, all we're doing here is we're consoling out some notification to us to prove that the code is running. What we ultimately want to do is we want to move this triangle around the screen. So just a hint here is that we're going to need to use variables like the X position and Y position variables we used in the DVD project to move around the actual triangle. The only difference is that with the DVD project, we were modifying the X position and the Y position automatically in the draw function. Now, because we're making this interactive, we're going to modify those values when the specific key is pressed that we detected. So the movement code would go here. And they would go here for each one of these conditional statements. And really the movement code in this case is just going to be modifying a variable. And that variable would then be used when we draw the triangle. All right, I'll leave you with that. Have fun with it. Any questions, please reach out to me and let me know. And I'll see you Monday. What we're going to do Monday is we're going to complete this. We're going to get this bad boy moving around the screen. And then we're going to start to see how this may be a little inefficient and how we can make it a bit more efficient by using objects. All right, have fun.